Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the Guitar Underground. I'm your host Neil Santos, creator of the Pentatonic way and lover of all things guitar. Now what if I told you that you probably don't need to learn 7 completely new scales to understand the modes? Like you need to learn how to play them. If you want to play the modes, you need to learn how to play them. But to understand them, what if it's the thing you've already spent years practicing, pentatonic scale, and that is actually the key that makes all of the modes finally click, right? I spent decades, literally decades, trying to understand the modes. I learned how to play them when I was a teenager, all the 3-note per string stuff, and I could blaze through them. But when I started to actually try to use them in like a melodic context, I struggled. It was very difficult. And I mean, even through Berkeley, I get different bits and pieces of information and try to put it together. But when it came to putting it on the fretboard, it just never really clicked, right? I reached a point where I said, I know my pentatonic boxes, I know the major scale, I know all the modes, but I feel like every time I try to play those modes, I'm back to square one. Like I don't understand, and it's frustrating because you feel like you're almost there, and then you're like, nope. So today we're going to look at 2 ways that I found to use the pentatonic scale that help me, and hopefully will help you, finally understand the modes, make them click, and maybe even if it's not the last lesson on the modes you get, it'll put you on the right path to be like, okay, I can finally do something with these. You know what I mean? So by the end of this episode, you're going to understand why the modes aren't as complicated as they've been made out to be, how the pentatonic scale can become your roadmap to understanding them, how to hear modes instead of memorizing, how to hear them, and at the end I'm going to show you 2 ways that the pentatonic scale can finally help you understand the modes internally. The second one is my favorite, so stick around for that. If you enjoy practical guitar lessons that simplify complicated topics, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future episodes of Guitar Underground. All right? Well, let's get into it, okay? First, we're going to look at 5 facts about the modes, in case you are not, as familiar with them as you would like to be. All right? So let's talk about fact 1. Modes are about perspectives, not new shapes. All right? Woo, it's early here and the coffee is hot. Let's get into it there. Modes are about perspective, not new shapes. Many guitarists think that every mode is an entirely new scale. All right? And it's really the same collection of notes viewed from a different center or a different starting point. All right? Imagine you're reading the same sentence and emphasizing different words. Imagine reading the same sentence but emphasizing different words. This is the Christopher Walken read. Imagine reading the same sentence but emphasizing different words. That's what the modes are like, right? You have these 7 notes, and every time you want to accent or bring out the sound of a different mode, you have to target the notes that make it sound like that mode, right? So that's what it's like. The words stay the same, but the meaning changes, right? And that's the modes. So what do I mean by this? Let me show you. In case you're not aware, there are 7 modes. And you probably know the first one, right? It's the major scale. Ionian mode is called, if you want to get all technical with it. But it's the Do, Re, Mi scale. So I'll do it in C here at the 8th fret. And it's Do, Re, Mi. Right? From C to C. C to shining C. All right, so that's Ionian. Now, to play the modes, to get the other 7 modes, you just start on the next note, right? That's the second mode, Dorian. That's Dorian. The third is Phrygian. Then Lydian. Oh. And Mixolydian. Aeolian is the sixth one. There we go. And last but not least, everyone's favorite, Locrian. That's it. I don't really play them like that. Yeah, so that's how it works, right? You have these 7 notes, and if you go from C to C, that's Ionian. You move it up, D to D, Dorian, again, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian. All right? So, yeah, and we'll get deeper into each of those as we go along, but that's the idea. I want to take away from fact 1. 7 notes equals 7 scales. That's it. You don't have to learn 7 scales or 7, 7 scales. Anyway, I hope you understand. If you don't, please leave a comment and I'll be happy to elaborate, pontificate about it a bit more there. All right. All right. So that's fact 1. Fact 2, pentatonic scales already remove most of the danger notes. So this isn't so much about the modes, but stuff we're going to talk about later. So one reason pentatonic scales sound so musical is because they leave out the notes that can create the strongest tension, which makes them the perfect foundation for playing and understanding the modes. All right? Like, let me see. Yeah, the pentatonic scale isn't less than the major scale. It's often the safest doorway into modal thinking. That's what I found. So what that means is, when we're looking at the pentatonic scale later, the reason that it works so well is that it removes a bunch of notes, right? That might be harsh. And so, all right, let me demonstrate and then I'll tell you why this might be a problem in real life, right? So if you have a minor scale, right? You have minor pentatonic. That sounds great. And you can play any of those notes together. And they sound pretty good. They're not as harsh as like the harshest interval, which if we put back in like the second and play a regular minor scale, what we're adding in is the second and the sixth here that are both second and the sixth. They're both a half step away from a chord tone, right? So you got the second, which is a half step away from the third, and if you play them at the same time, you get that. Hold on, let's do worse. There we go. This is the third, and I play the second. It sounds awful, right? And then if I do the same thing here with the fifth and the sixth, that's what you get. Now, you would never play those together on your guitar, right? Well, maybe you would. I mean, if you're going for that effect, that psycho in the shower effect, more power to you. It's an artistic choice. But in general, when you're soloing, you wouldn't play that, right? However, like, those chord tones are present in the rhythm section. Whoever's comping for you, or the pad, or whatever you got going on behind you that you're improvising in conjunction with, those notes are there. So if they're playing the fifth and you start playing the flat six, or if they're playing the flat third and you're playing the second, that's when you get that sort of feeling like you hit a bum note, right? You could call it that. And especially if you feel like you're going to stop there, like your plan was to stop on that note, and now you can't because like it's it's unresolved, then it becomes a problem. So that's why the pentatonics are great. You're always able to keep moving and and you can anticipate and resolve things. All right. So that's the difference between the modes and the pentatonics in a way. Cool. There's a little weird audio artifact going on here. Sorry if you can hear that. All right. So that's fact 2. Fact 3 is every mode has a personality mode. Note. Personality mode. So instead of memorizing 7 scales, learn the one note that gives each mode its flavor. All right? So to find these special notes, we compare. There are 3 minor modes and there's 3 major modes. And to figure out like the special note, you have to compare those major modes to what they call the natural major. And then you compare the minor modes to natural minor. So Ionian is natural major. That's your natural major. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That's your natural major. And natural minor is Aeolian, your 6th mode. So that's do, re, mi, fa, sol, si, right? Le, te, do, or whatever. It's been a long time since you're training 101. So yeah, that is how we figure out those special notes. And what are those special notes, you might ask? All right, so let's look at the minor ones first. You have Aeolian, which is your natural minor, right? But instead, like if you want to say, all right, let's look at Dorian and compare it to it. You have, all the same notes, except instead of a flat 6, you have a natural 6. So I should lay it out. For Aeolian, you got root, 2nd, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, and 1. Now for Dorian, you got the root, 2nd, flat 3, 4, 5, natural 7. So it has like a brighter sound than Aeolian, then flat 7 and 1. All right, so that's how you compare it to Aeolian. So your special note would be the natural 6. All right. Now let's get Phrygian. Now this one is weird. Let's look at the notes of Phrygian, the third mode, and you have the root, flat 2nd. You get the flat 3, the 4, the 5, flat 6, flat 7, and root. It's a very Latin flair to it. So what do you suspect the special note would be for that one? It's the flat 2. Because you have a flat 6, but that's in the Aeolian. You have a flat 3 is in Aeolian, flat 7. The only one that's different is that flat 2. All right? Cool. So those are the minor. And then you have 3 major scales that are modes, and that's the Ionian. And that is simply root, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, major 7, and 1, root. All right? If you look at Lydian now, that's your 4th mode. You're going to get root, 2nd, 3rd, sharp 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So it's that sharp 4 that gives you your Lydian sound. That's the special note. And let's see, Mixolydian. Now, Mixolydian is like a major scale, but it has a flat 7. So you got root, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and flat 7, and then the root. So it's kind of a mix between major and minor, right? Where you have like a major third, but a flat 7, like a minor 7, which is kind of cool. So it kind of lives in between those two worlds. And then last but not least, Locrian. I guess we would compare this more to a minor scale, but it's just whack. I'll just put it like that. What you end up with is this: you got the root, flat 2, flat 3, 4, flat 5, flat 6, flat 7, and then root. It's really weird scale mode. So even though it has a flat 2, the real special note here probably is that flat 5. Because, Phrygian has flat 2, so that's not special. It's that flat 5 that really makes Locrian sound the way it does. And hardly ever used, so right on you, Locrian. Yeah, so that's the idea. Hold on, let me just try to unplug this plug. Oh yeah, that got rid of the weird sound I was hearing. All right, cool. On with the show. So yeah, that is fact number 3. Is that what it was? Yeah. So every mode has a personality note, and trying to, try to memorize those and get used to them, because they're going to help you, especially if you're like, you don't have to memorize all the shapes then. You memorize Ionian or you memorize Aeolian, and then you say, all right, I want to play Phrygian. What do? I start with my core recipe, which is Aeolian, and I just flat the 2, right? Or if I want to play Lydian, I just play the major scale, Ionian, but I sharp the 4. That might help you to memorize the shapes and help you to understand and hear those modes easier. All right. So fact 4. The chords tell you more than the scale does. And this is huge. This is part of the thing that kind of made me help me understand how to play the modes and bring out their sound. Every time I would sit to play the modes without any chords behind it, it all just sounded like the major scale to me, because that's what I was most familiar with. So I'd say, I'm going to jam on F Lydian, and I'd start jamming, I'm playing and stuff, and it would always just kind of revert back to C major, C Ionian, because that's where, that's where it came from. And that's where it's such a strong sound. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That just drew me back there every time. I couldn't get away from it. So it depends, really. The modes depend so much about what you're playing over. Chords that emphasize those special notes, right? It emphasizes the root of it. So if you're playing F Lydian, you want to play F major, and then you want to play another chord, and we'll look at this later, that emphasizes that has that special note in it, and that's what's going to make it sound like Lydian, right? And we'll look at that later. But just as a real easy example, if I play a C scale, I'll riff over a vamp, like a C vamp, right? So that's just C major. I'll play C Ionian. All right, cool. And like that had what I think is like one of the weaknesses of the modes is when I try to play it in that way, I feel like it's all just up and down. I'm just like going up and down. It doesn't sound very interesting or melodic. I'll show you how to fix that in a sec. Now, I'm going to play over A minor vamp. And that will be Aeolian, right, in the same scale. So same 7 notes, but a different underlying chord. So let's check it out. One sec. Here's the Aeolian. Yeah, all right. Cool. So you can hear the difference in it. But I'm not great at jamming on it like that, right? Like, I feel like, I'm just noodling around. And that's kind of like what I struggled with for years. And I can't wait to show you how I solved that for me. But yeah, that's the idea. Hopefully you can hear that they're same notes, but they both have a different vibe, you know? So it's all about the chords that you play underneath the modes. So cool. All right. That was fact 4. We're getting along. We got the final fact here is your ears understand modes faster than your brain does, right? You try to memorize before you listen, and that's backwards sometimes. You want to hear the emotional quality first and then learn why it works. Like with those special notes, like that's Lydian, you know, or this. That's Phrygian, right? Or this. That's Mixolydian, right? You get that flat 7 in there. So that's what you kind of want to get used to is identifying like, oh, that I know that sound. That's like sounds magical, right? It sounds like a film score. Oh, it's probably Lydian. That sounds like it has a Latin flair to it. Like Zorro's gonna come out and do a dance with a sword. That's Phrygian, right? So if you can start to identify those notes and get familiar with them, you're going to be doing all right. All right? Cool. So that's 5 facts about the modes, but also the pentatonic scale. And now you know. The more you know, right? Knowing's half the battle. So let's get into... Well, first, all right, that was 5 facts. We're going to talk about how you can use the pentatonics now to understand and actually use the modes in a melodic way. But first, I have to do the obligatory ad read. Shows sponsored by the Pentatonic Way, a system and course and a book I'm writing to help you understand the guitar in an easy way. So I have to read this. Please excuse me. This actually reminds me of something I see all the time with the Pentatonic Way students. Everyone gets stuck for a different reason. Some players know a lot of scales, but they don't know how to use them. Others have a great ear, but they can't connect the fretboard. That's exactly why I created the free Pentatonic Way personality quiz. It only takes a couple minutes, and it'll identify the biggest thing that's holding you back or holding your playing back right now. After that, you get a free 3-lesson email course that's customized to help you start fixing that special problem, or a specific problem, or special, instead of guessing what to practice next. If that sounds helpful, You can take it for free at thepentatonicway.com/personality / not to be confused with /. All right, on with the show. Now, here's the practical application segment. I want to show you a couple approaches, a couple ways to use the pentatonics to start hearing these notes. All right, start hearing how things, how the modes are usable. All right, so approach number one is this. We're going to play a pentatonic scale over like a vamp, like I have. So I have an A minor vamp here. Even though the loop I did is kind of janky, we're going to use it. And what we're going to do is just play A minor pentatonic, right? And then when we get used to that, we're going to do that for a second till we kind of settle in. And then we're going to try to add in those specific notes, right? We're going to add in the flats 2 from the Phrygian and see what that does to our pentatonic scale. And then we'll switch it out and we'll do the natural 6, see what that does to our pentatonic scale. And see if we can get those Phrygian and the Dorian sounds going. All right. So let's do that. All right. First, I'll kind of settle in with just the A minor pentatonic. All right, now I'm going to add the natural 6th, which is here. All right. So yeah, I think that sounds pretty good. I think it's a sound we're kind of familiar with. Now I'll try the Phrygian, the flat 2. Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's a little bit harder to kind of fit in there if you're not used to it. It's a strong sound. It's like the reverse leading tone, right? They call the 7 the leading tone because it leads to the 1. T-bow, right? But it's like the opposite one that leads down to it. Rado, or whatever. So yeah, that's the idea. Now I'll do the same thing over C real quick, and we'll see how that sounds. So let me get this loop going. All right, that's a little less janky, I think, than the last one. All right. So now I'll play C major pentatonic. All right, now I'm going to add in that sharp 4 to give it that Lydian sound. Cool. I love that sound. Now I'll just do the flat 7, and it'd be like Mixolydian. right, cool. I love the sound of Mixolydian and dominant pentatonics. That's the idea. Hopefully you could hear how they, just by adding that one note, it changes the whole sound of the pentatonic scale, which is cool. You can always add notes to the pentatonic scale. Just because you have those 5 notes and that's your framework, now you can start to think about, oh, maybe I'll add a flat 2 here. Or a lot of people already had the the sharp 4 to minor, right? Like you have a minor pentatonic, you add the sharp 4, that's just the blues note. It's the same concept, You can just try all the different flavors of extra notes that you want to add in. And this is a way to do that, to kind of explore the modes. I wanted to show you this thing I made. I just remembered it. Sorry if it's out of sequence, but here. This is what I'm talking about before we move on. Here are the 2 pentatonic modes, the minor pentatonic, major pentatonic, right? Now look over here at the minor pentatonic. If I click Dorian, it adds in some notes, right? You get the second here, and you get the natural 6th, second, natural 6th. So it's that natural 6th that gives you a different, sound. That's your special note, right? Because if we click that off and go to Locrian, it looks the same, except you have a flat 6, right? So that's the special one. The 2 is the same. Then Phrygian, you get that flat 2 and a flat 6. All right? So this is what I'm talking about, using the pentatonics as a framework for your modes. Now we have major pentatonic. We have Ionian. This is your do, re, mi scale, right? You would start here. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, or whatever, right? So that's what we compare everything to. And then over here, we got Lydian. You got the 7 still, but now you have a sharp 4. And it appears here and here, like behind your 5th there. And then Mixolydian, you add the 4 back in, but now you have a flat 7. All right? So it's pretty wild. And so if we're looking at this, we can see that for from minor, we're messing with the 2s and the 6s. For major, we're messing with the 7s and the 4s. All right? Because those are the ones that are left out. So yeah, I hope that little visual demonstration helps. Whoop, there we go. Cool. All right. Yeah, I just didn't want to forget to show you that. I think it kind of might be helpful for those visual viewers of us out there, like me, that's like, I like to see it. Yeah, cool. All right. So on to the second one, right? Where the second approach to understanding the modes, and this is so powerful if you can do it. All right. So we'll start with Dorian first. It's a very popular scale and a choice for modes. It's probably the most recognizable Dorian vamp because the major 4 chord contains the characteristic natural 6th, right? So this vamp would be D minor 7 to G. And here it is. There's that natural 6 from the scale. So what we're going to do is I'll do that vamp, and then I'll show you how we're going to play over it. One sec. Sorry, all my rhythms of that rhythm today. I don't know. I'm just feeling it. All right. Now let me go back to share my screen here because I got another little tool that I like to use to teach with. That's in the membership. It's not so much in the course, but we use this all the time in the membership. So first chord we have is D minor, right? And we could play that there. on the 10th fret. And then the next one we have is G major. So it would look like that. So what we're going to do, like you can see, you have the root. Or if I add some scale degrees, let's add the third. Let's add the sixth, right? Or, yeah, we'll just add the third and the fifth because we're talking about the D chord here mainly. So third, fifth, and then back here is the sixth, right? Oh, but it's not here. But when we go to the G, it is. And you got the second here too. So that's what is making it sound like Dorian. So I'm going to use these two scales to solo over that track rather than just soloing this or soloing full on Dorian. Because like I said, when I do that, and I'll try it so you can hear the difference, like in my playing, especially, like I just can't make sense of following these notes. And then when it comes to G, using that same, Dorian 3-note per string scale and pulling out these notes, right? Remember what I said about the sentence having, you accent different words? That's what it's like. Like if you wanted to play D Dorian, like you would have to accent the G major notes out of that. So you'd have to accent this one. No, this one, see? And then this one, and then this one. But then when it comes to D, you'd have to accent those, And that's too hard for me to keep track of. But here, I'll show you what I mean. So this is the first way where I just try to play like the regular shirt. I feel like I'm just wandering and a lot of up and down, a lot of like stepwise motion. Now I'll try the pentatonic scales, all right? All right. Hopefully you could hear. I feel like that sounded so much better, right? You could take big leaps and create this dramatic sound, but it sounds like it's following the chords, and you're using that major sixth. And then what I use the modes for now, like the 3-note per string stuff, is just to shred out and add a bit of texture and a bit of excitement and flowiness, and then land on a pentatonic. Like when I come out of it, like, oh, am I on the G? Land on G major pentatonic or whatever. That's how I use it. So I'm going to demonstrate a couple different of the modes here, but I wanted to show you that. And I think that is super powerful. That's what if you can only get one thing from this whole episode, that's it. You're going to be doing all right. All right. So let me see. Let's go to Phrygian. All right. So for Phrygian, we're going to play E minor to F major. That's like the 1 minor to the flat 2 major. So let me just add that vamp. All right. Now we're going to do this. E minor to F major. All right? We can move it up the neck a little bit. Let's do it here. So at the 7th fret, this is what I'll do. Fingers aren't awake yet. I was getting used to it. Yeah, a lot of these I don't jam on very often. So I feel like as I was going along, I'm like, oh, all right, that's the note. That's the note. You figure it out, because the pentatonics are such simple scales. But when you start combining them, you start finding these pathways through where you're like, oh, all right, that's where that works. And that's how it connects. If I jammed on that for another 5 minutes, I'd be an expert in it. All right, so that's Phrygian. Let's get into some major stuff. Let's try Lydian. So we're going to do C major to D major. All right, so 1 sec. I'll try a different rhythm to see what I can come up with. All right, something like that. Jesse's girl. All right, here we go. These are the scales I'm going to use. C major to D major. At the 8th fret, C major, and then D major at the 7th. All right, go, something like that. Cool. All right. I love Lydian. And last but not least, let's just do Mixolydian, all right? Now, it's going to seem similar. I'm going to do G to F, but it depends on what you start on. Where I started on C last time to D, you're starting on the lower. If you have two major chords that are a whole step apart, if you start on the lower one, that's probably your Lydian. And the higher one, whole step up, is your Mixolydian. So in this case, I'm going to do G to F. G is your Mixolydian, and F is your Lydian. All right? So let's see how that goes. This is what I'll be playing over that. All right, G major to F major. G major at the 3rd fret, F at the 3rd fret. Let's move it up. Yeah, let's do it here. 7, the 7th fret. right, so problem I run into there is if I'm using two major scales, it starts sounding like Lydian to me, right? So what I'll typically do is whatever is the flat sevens, you know, whichever one is the Mixolydian chord, the fifth chord, I'll use G dominant over it. So if I do that, it just replaces the sixth from the natural sixth from your major scale with the flat seven. So now it should sound more like Mixolydian. Let me know what you think. Here's the dominant, and then the F. Yeah, that's the idea. So yeah, that's like how I like to approach the pentatonics. The modes is kind of use the pentatonic. Two pentatonics add up to one mode. Uh-oh, that sound is back. All right, sorry guys. The two pentatonics add up to one mode. If you actually look at the notes from these and superimpose them together, it creates the 7-note scale, which is great. A lot of times if you take two pentatonic scales and superimpose them on top of each other, like add them to each other, and they're all gonna like add up to the major scale or a minor scale or whatever it is. So that's the idea. Hopefully that's helpful to you. Yeah, today I hope one big idea sticks with you, that modes aren't 7 scary scales waiting to be memorized. They're simply a different way of hearing music, right? They bring out different emotions in music, and the pentatonic scale that you spent years learning can become that bridge that makes all of them easier to understand, right? So if you've been feeling stuck, don't mistake confusion with inability. You're capable. You just haven't been shown a better map to understand it. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Have modes always felt confusing to you like they did to me? And did something click today? Hopefully you try this and it clicks and it helps you move forward like I was able to. There was such a blocker. And once I started doing this with the two pentatonic scales to understand the modes, it just let me continue. I was like, oh, finally I can move ahead, and that's a great feeling. So if this episode helped you simplify the topic, consider sharing it with another guitarist who's been avoiding the modes because they seemed overwhelming. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so we can keep building your fretboard confidence together. All right? I think that for the month of August, I'm going to take it off. This is the last episode of Season 1 of the Guitar Underground. Take August off and come back fresh in September, and really hit it and get back to on a fretboard. And maybe I'll have some new surprises in store for you then. And yeah, if you want to reach out, always feel free to reach out to me at neil@pentatonicway.com. And I'd love to hear from you. I'm always available to help. And yeah, keep on picking, everybody. All right. Love you. Take care. Bye-bye.